Today, we are talking about the 2002 independent Latin Hispanic film, Real Women Have Curves. In keeping with my thoughtful and insightful criticism, let me tell you guys the takeaway I got from this movie. Ana Garcia, played by America Ferrera, sucks. Ana is the worst. Thank you so much for watching. Have you seen this movie? Leave me a comment in the comment section down below. Like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, salud, mi familia. You guys have probably seen how long this video is, and I can't fool you with that old joke. However, this is my main conclusion from the movie. I have quite a few problems with this movie. My problems are made worse knowing there is a better story or stories inside this not great story, with not great characters. The not great cinematography is the least of this movie's problems. Latin cinema, you continue to disappoint. I first saw this movie in a college class. When the movie was finished, my friend Luis, who was sitting in the row next to me, turned and asked, "Are your parents like that?" And I replied, "Look at where we're at." That's a long way of saying, as much as this movie is being sold as an authentic slice of Latino Hispanic life, we found it to not be that. Now, I have no idea if I and or Luis are outliers in this community, but I'm pretty sure most parents are not like the ones in this movie. And I hope to God I am nothing like Ana, who I will remind you sucks big ones. Today, I will break down why this story felt inauthentic, why Ana sucks fat ones, the more interesting stories hidden in this movie, and why this movie is not great. Vámonos. Playwright Josefina Lopez was an undocumented worker in a textile factory in the late 1980s. Lopez was ironing dresses in a factory where all the workers were women. Lopez, being in this environment, started to have love and appreciation for being a Latina and how badass these working Latinas are. So Lopez decided to write a play based on her experiences in this factory and celebrate what it is to be Latina from the barrio and not conforming to Western white beauty standards. The play Real Women Have Curves premiered on May 25th, 1990 in San Francisco. After the play got acclaim, Warner Brothers came to Lopez to see if the play could be turned into a movie. Lopez at that time decided to work with legendary TV writer Norman Lear, best known for All in the Family, to turn the play into a TV show. Even with Lear involved, ABC, NBC, and CBS said, "This isn't original or interesting. Who wants to see a show about Mexican Americans in East LA?" Hollywood, you continue to bat 1,000. Writer George Laveau approached Lopez and told her that changing the play so it's more universal might help get it made. Laveau and Lopez reworked the script and HBO bought it thanks to executive Maud Nadler, who saw the potential. 11 years after the play premiered, the film version Real Women Have Curves was in production. Patricia Cardoso was hired to direct the film. They got established actress Lupe Ontiveros to play Carmen, the matriarch. Lupe was the villain Yolanda Saldivar in the Selena 1997 movie, and the villain in this movie too. It's the Lupe Ontiveros cinematic universe. For the lead role of Ana, they got unknown actress America Ferrera. Ferrera is best known for this role and for playing Betty Suarez in the American version of Ugly Betty. Real Women Have Curves 2002 premiered at the Sundance Film Festival to rave reviews, a standing ovation, and tons of awards. This movie is credited for starting the body positive movement in the US. I think that's great. Of all the things I'm going to complain about in this movie, and there is a lot, so strap in, that is not one of them. This movie handles body positivity very well, and I applaud them for that. It's time to take a closer look at the movie that makes no sense culturally. Yikes. We'll get there. Real Women Have Curves tells the story of Ana Garcia, a young woman living in East Los Angeles. It's Ana's last day of high school at Beverly Hills High. Ana's teacher, George Lopez, and Ana want her to go to college. Ana tells George that she can't go because her family won't let her go. Ana has a villainous, overbearing mother, Carmen, a cool father, Raul, a should have been the protagonist's sister, Estela, and a lovely grandpa, Abuelo. Ana, behind her parents' backs, applies for college with the help of George Lopez. A white boy in Ana's class, white boy Jimmy, has a crush on Ana and asks her out. Ana and white boy Jimmy go out a few times without anyone knowing. Ana is super embarrassed to be from East LA, poor and Latina. Because of reasons, Ana has to go to her sister's sewing factory to help out. Estela's factory makes fancy dresses for the rich and skinny. Ana is very stuck up and annoying to these poor women trying to make a living at the factory. Villainous mom is always pointing out how fat and ugly her daughters are, out of nowhere. For no reason. Villainous mother Carmen thinks she is pregnant, but it turns out that she is going through menopause. Even knowing that, Ana is still a terrible brat. We find out Estela is barely scraping by and has to work so much harder just to stay afloat in the business. Ana tries to help and convinces their father to lend Estela money to help out. The factory is able to make a large order of fancy dresses. Estela is able to pay all her debts, her father, and her workers. We see the iconic scene where Ana and the women in the factory compare things about their bodies they don't like, accept how beautiful their bodies are, and work with a new spring in their step. Ana and white boy Jimmy have sex. Ana knows how to hit it and quit it. Villainous mother somehow knows this happens and slut shames Ana. Ana gets accepted to Columbia University with a full scholarship. Ana's dad gives his blessing for her to go to college in New York. Villainous mom is opposed and will never forgive Ana for bettering her life. Ana leaves for college. Villainous mother doesn't give her blessing. Ana arrives in New York, ready to start the new chapter of her life. The end. I hate being that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. Ana needs to smile more. I'm going to burn in feminist hell for that one. Some folks will say, well, Ana doesn't suck. It's the villainous mother that sucks. I'd say yes, the villainous mother does suck, but so does Ana. Okay, Ana has this face and attitude where she is smarter and better than everyone else. I don't know why she thinks this. Just because she graduated high school? I'm sure her sister did too. Just because she speaks English? So do her parents, and very well, I might add. Just because she can go to college, but she can't go to college. Even if she had her parents' blessing, up until the end, she had no way of going to college. Ana acts like a rich, privileged girl who has no indicators of being rich or privileged. Ana, mija, you're from the barrio. Your class and ethnicity should dictate a very different attitude. And and we'll get to that in a couple of sections. Anna seemingly has no friends. She is not as smart as people keep telling us she is. If Anna was smart, she would be telling her mom to let her go to college, and maybe there she will meet a rich husband. Use the machismo backwards thinking to her favor. As feminist as she is, she has no sympathy for her mom going through menopause. Anna doesn't have any respect or reverence for the women in the factory who work super hard and are doing the best they can considering their circumstances. The feminism Anna is touting in the movie is middle-class white woman second-wave feminism, the kind that is only concerned with sexual liberation and gender equality. If you're white, cisgendered, and middle class, or higher, que se chinguen everyone else. Anna is our point of view character. She is the one we are supposed to identify with. However, I don't identify with, because even though I too am a fat American with Mexican roots who grew up in the barrio, I am not snobby and privileged like Anna is. I have no idea if the character is written that way, or if that is the direction she was given on set, or maybe if it's because that's how most 18-year-olds act. Like they know everything and they are the only smart people in the world. Everyone else is a dumbass. And while yes, most people are dumb, this attitude is super off-putting. As cliche as it would have been to have the villainous mother be dominant and Anna be submissive, but then at least the audience would have had some sympathy for Anna and cheer her on to get as far away from her mother as possible. But since the villainous mother and Anna are both terrible, I was just like, they deserve each other and I don't really care what happens to Anna. It got to the point where I kept saying to Abuelo, Don Abuelo, you can do better. Why are you wasting your time with Anna? Or when White Boy Jimmy was hanging out with Anna, White Boy Jimmy, my man, what are you doing with Anna? She sucks. I know you are thirsty as hell, but I'm sure you can pull someone who is at least nice to people, not Anna, who sucks. Or when the movie focused on Estela, I wanted this movie to be about Estela. Leave Anna to the side of the road. Give me more story about Estela. Which leads me to... Anna sucking is a huge negative in this movie. The bigger problem is that her story isn't the most interesting one in the movie. The better and more interesting story is that of Anna's sister Estela. Not just Estela, but all the women in the factory. Mostly Estela though. Most factories are not female-owned and run. Estela stands out as a young Latin woman who owns and runs her own business. She has to deal with trying to get work and contracts. Plus, Estela wants to be a fair boss. She knows how hard the work they do is and how undervalued it is. Estela has a lot on her plate to balance, and I would like to know more. I have many questions. Did she have dreams? Did she try to go to technical college or business school to make her work more legit? Why does she settle for such low-paying work? Is she going to use this experience to motivate her to advocate for factory workers' rights? What about the other women? What are their stories? They seem to be really good at what they do. How did they end up with Estela? Why did they decide to leave their home countries and come to the US? Are their lives really better here? They are essentially in a sweatshop. Is that okay with them? Will they unionize and confront the fact that they are in a sweatshop? So many questions. Answering any or all of these questions would have made for a more interesting story. The story of Estela and the workers would have made for uncomfortable conversations and truths the white audiences would have to face, and no one wants that, do they? The story might have been more uncomfortable, but it would have been more honest and authentic. More than anything, my biggest problem with the movie is that it's not authentic or honest about the Latin experience, which leads us to this next section. A lot of things happen in this movie that make no sense to me. Then, while doing research for this video, I came across Entertainment Weekly's behind-the-scenes look at Real Women Have Curves. In that article, Josefina Lopez mentions how she had to change the story to make it more palatable and more pleasant for male white audiences. After reading that little sentence, I understood why this movie makes no sense culturally. Now, stating that plot points in this movie make no sense culturally is a dangerous game. I can only compare this story with my own and those of the people I've interacted with in life and their experiences. Knowing that, if this movie and story rings true to you and your experiences, let me know. I'd be interested to hear about your life. In this story, Anna wants to go to college, but her family doesn't want her to. Why? Because her family wants her to work, and because of spite. Anna has the chance to vastly improve her life by going to college, but working is more important. This makes no sense to me for a couple of reasons. Mainly, Anna's parents, like most immigrant parents, come to the US for a better life and for their kids to do better than they did. That is the goal. You immigrant parents work crap jobs at minimum wage. You work hard and make sure your kids get educated and work a better job for more money. So Anna having a chance to make not just her life better, but the rest of the family's lives better, and it's not encouraged, makes no sense to me. You might say, well, it's because of machismo that she can't get an education. Anna is only expected to get married and pop out a couple of kids. That is the only expectation in her life. Kind of, but not really. Anna still has to work. Real machismo would have her focus on women's work only and not let her out of the house at all. Also, the only one really opposed to Anna going to college is the villainous mother. Her father and even her grandfather are 100% supportive and want her to succeed. Anna's villainous mother doesn't want her to go just because of spite. Doña Carmen had to get married, take care of her husband and family, work a labor-intensive job for decades. Doña Carmen's life has been hard, and so should Anna's life be, because that's what's fair. See? Spite. Also, Anna's parents speak English very well. That means they have been in the US for a long time. They don't look too old, so I can safely assume they've been here since they were like teenagers. Coming to the US so young, they would have assimilated into the culture a little better and would have been more forward-thinking. Plus, people in Mexico and Latin America get college degrees. Some of the best universities in the world are in Latin America. This movie acts like that's something only white people do. It would make sense if it was a debate about not having money to go to college, but that's not it. This plot point is about race when it should be about class, about money, or legal status. That would make more sense. But how it is in the movie is baffling to me. Anna is aware of feminism and some gender politics. Anna being totally oblivious to her ethnic and class politics is befuddling, especially since in the movie Anna goes to Beverly Hills High. Are you telling me, movie, that in the 4 years Anna attended Beverly Hills High, she was never once bullied for being Latin, poor, and overweight? Not once. Going to rich, upper class, mostly white, Beverly Hills High, no problems. All Anna's bullying and problems are when she is in East LA? This is what we're going with. Wild. Adding Beverly Hills High School to the mix and doing nothing with it makes no sense culturally or story-wise. Estella's factory makes fancy dresses for the rich and skinny. Who are the rich and skinny people who would be buying these dresses? Who could they be? As cliche as it might be, I kind of wish this movie was more like an 80s John Hughes movie. This movie should be a Latin version of Pretty in Pink, where the struggle is more about class and acceptance than gender politics. And okay, sprinkle in some gender politics for flavor. In my version, Anna is in the factory making these dresses and prom is coming up. She doesn't have the money or the body to wear one of those fancy Bloomingdale's dresses like all the other girls in her class do. Anna gets made fun of for being poor and fat. Estela makes Anna a special dress for her like we see in the movie. Anna wears that dress to prom, looking amazing and unique, while the other girls have the same off-the-rack dresses. Boom. A powerful moment to celebrate Anna's class, body positivity, and work ethic. Feels a little Cinderella-y, but it would have been better, I think. Like I mentioned, Estela makes a special dress for Anna to wear, but she never wears it. That moment should have built up to an empowering dress moment, but it never happens in the movie. My prom idea would have been the perfect moment. Lastly, Anna feeling resentful and looking down on minimum wage / labor-intensive jobs also makes no sense. This attitude from Anna only makes sense if her family was rich, then lost everything, and they have to work these lowly jobs after a lifetime of privilege. But that's not what happens. All Anna and her family know is being working poor and dreaming of a better life. Anna should not be ashamed or resentful about working in the factory, and worse, looking down on her sister and the other women. Kids of immigrant parents are very, very aware of how much their parents work and sacrifice for them. Kids of immigrant parents celebrate and are proud that their parents have done so much for them. Kids of immigrant parents learn very early that there is no such thing as a shameful job. A job is a job, and you do it to the best of your ability. None of this stink face Anna is making all the time in this movie. This better than everyone else attitude only makes sense if you're a white elite person, not the child of immigrants en el barrio. The part about wanting to be better and move up in the world, fine. But looking down on where you came from, not fine. All of these little changes were made to make the movie be less alienating to white men, which is really terrible. Knowing this, I can only conclude that white people hate their moms. All of their moms are like the villainous Doña Carmen, right? We have been consuming white media our whole lives, and those folks do not care whomst they alienate. Hollywood, you're telling me the same year someone gave Jason X a budget of $11 million and no notes apparently, but Real Women Have Curves got pennies and all the notes just because it's about Latinas en el barrio. I'm not against cartoon violence, but Jason X doesn't care that it alienates good taste. Real Women Have Curves might make white people feel bad about racism, and that's the thing we have to sanitize and water down. People don't want to think about ugly truths, and that's the real danger here. Awesome. The legacy of this movie is the empowering scene where the women strip down and learn to love their bodies. Body positivity before that was an official thing. I'm not gonna crap on that. In fact, if that's all you remember about this movie, great. Focus on the one really honest and positive thing in this movie that should be celebrated. Body positivity is important, and there should be way more of it. Maybe when we have full body positivity and acceptance, I'll stop secretly hoping for a serious disease that would make me skinny. I can't be the only one who hopes for this.
It's not enough to just be thin, right? You want to be the kind of thin where your friends are worried for you.
I know I went hard on this movie, probably harder than it deserved. I can't get over the fact that they had to change it for white men. Why can't this story be a Latin story for Latin folks? What is so wrong with that? Hollywood, you don't have to make movies about minorities that everyone has to identify with. I'd argue that it is more important to tell stories about folks we don't identify with one-to-one. Stories where it's a true, honest, authentic slice of life are important. It's important to see folks who are different ethnicities, genders, classes, orientations, etc. as real people. That won't happen if those stories are watered down for white audiences. Who cares who it alienates? Tell a real, true-to-life story, if only for those communities that get almost no representation. I don't want to recommend you guys watch this movie, but I'm going to. Only because if we don't support these movies, we won't get any more of them. Maybe if we get more of them, they might make a really good one. What I want to instead recommend is The Real Women Have Curves stage play by Josefina Lopez. I came across a high school production of the play, and it makes me want to see a professional production. In the play, Ana, after years of being undocumented, gets legal status, and we see her plans on how to get to college. Also, the play is more about Estela and her struggles. It's a wonderful celebration of what it is to be a Latina in East LA. The play is very heartfelt and also very funny. Had the movie adaptation been closer to the play, I think this movie would have been truly amazing. I've linked to clips of the play in the carcancha down below. Watch them, and I think you'll agree with me. If you can find a professional production of the play, go watch and support that. I'll look for one out here in LA, and I'll let you guys know how it went. I complained an awful lot in this video, so I'm curious. Do you guys like this movie? Am I completely wrong? Are my hot takes off the mark? Did I leave any complaining out? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, salud, mi familia.